Have you ever wondered if you're doing better or worse than everyone else when it comes to money? Maybe you're scrolling through social media, seeing people posting about their latest vacation or brand new car, and you can't help but wonder how they afford it all. Well, what if I told you that 1 in 5 Americans has absolutely $0 saved for emergencies, yet they're paying 22% interest on credit cards while calling themselves middle class? The numbers I'm about to reveal will show you exactly where you stand compared to everyone else, and, more importantly, what you can do about it. Today, I'm going to pull back the curtain on the financial reality of the average person in 2025, and I guarantee some of these numbers are going to shock you. Some might make you feel better about your situation, while others might be a serious wake-up call. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you stand financially compared to everyone else, and more importantly, what you can do about it. If you want to get ahead financially instead of just staying average, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Chapter 1. The savings reality nobody talks about. Let's start with something that might surprise you. The median American household has exactly $8,000 sitting in their bank accounts right now. $8,000. That includes everything: checking, savings, money market accounts, all of it. Now, before you start feeling too good or too bad about that number, let me put it in perspective for you. Only 46% of US adults have enough emergency savings to cover 3 months of expenses. Think about that for a second. More than half of American adults couldn't survive financially for just 3 months without a paycheck. 3 months. That's not even a major crisis. That's a minor setback. But here's where it gets really concerning. About 19% of US adults have no emergency savings at all. 0. 1 in 5 people you meet are living completely paycheck to paycheck with absolutely no cushion. No cushion for a car repair, a medical bill, or losing their job. And here's the part that really shows how disconnected people are from reality. When surveyed, employed Americans claimed they saved 23% of their take-home pay, on average. 23%. But here's the problem with that statistic. Nearly a quarter of employed Americans aren't sure how much they're actually saving, and 10% aren't regularly saving anything at all. So we have people claiming they're saving nearly a quarter of their income while simultaneously having no emergency fund. The math doesn't add up because people are lying to themselves about their spending habits. The personal savings rate tells the real story. Americans are currently saving just 4.4% of their disposable income. For context, during the pandemic, when people couldn't spend money anywhere, US households saved over 15% of their income. The moment people could spend again, they immediately went back to saving almost nothing. Chapter 2. The debt disaster that's getting worse. Now, let's talk about the other side of the equation, debt. And these numbers will absolutely blow your mind. The average American household owes $105,056 in total debt, over $100,000. But that's just the beginning of this nightmare. Americans collectively owe $1.209 trillion on their credit cards. That's trillion with a T. The average credit card balance is $6,371. Now, you might think that doesn't sound too terrible, but here's what makes this absolutely insane. The average credit card interest rate is 21.91%, almost 22%. If you have that average balance of $6,371 and you're making minimum payments, you're throwing away over $1,400 per year just in interest. That's money that could be building wealth, but instead it's making credit card companies rich. And here's the kicker. 46% of American credit card holders carry a balance from month to month. Nearly half of all cardholders are paying that crushing 22% interest. But wait, it gets worse. 60% of people carrying credit card debt have been doing it for over a year. These aren't people who had an emergency and put it on a credit card. These are people who are chronically spending more than they earn month after month, year after year, while paying 22% interest for the privilege. Here's the statistic that proves people have their priorities completely backwards. 33% of US adults have more credit card debt than emergency savings.
Think about how insane that is. People are paying 22% interest on debt while having no emergency fund to prevent them from going even deeper into debt. Chapter 3. Income versus reality. Let's talk about income, because this is where people get really confused about their financial situation. The median household income in the US is $80,610. That sounds pretty decent, right? But here's what nobody talks about. That's gross income, not what you actually take home. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare, that $80,610 shrinks to maybe $60,000 to $65,000 depending on where you live. Suddenly, that doesn't seem like quite as much money, does it? And the gender pay gap is still brutal. Men working full-time earn a median weekly wage of $1,330, while women earn $1,078. That's a $252 difference per week. Over a year, that's adding up to over $13,000 less for women. But here's what's really interesting about income. Location matters more than most people realize. Maryland has the highest average income at $87,063, while Mississippi has the lowest at $46,511. That's almost a $40,000 difference just based on where you live. Education makes a huge difference too. People with a bachelor's degree earn about $1,732 per week. That's significantly higher than those without degrees. But here's the income reality that nobody talks about. Even people making good money are financially stressed. Just 25% of Americans say they are completely financially secure. Only 1 in 4 people feel secure about money, even though we're supposedly living in one of the most prosperous times in history. Chapter 4. Net worth by age, the shocking truth. Let's talk about net worth, which is the best measure of your overall financial health. Net worth is simply what you own minus what you owe. The median net worth for American households is $192,900. But this number varies dramatically by age, and some of these breakdowns will shock you. If you're under 35, the median net worth is just $39,000. Now, if you're 25 and just starting your career, that's not terrible. But if you're 34 and still at that level, you might want to have a serious conversation with yourself about your financial trajectory. The 35 to 44 age group does better with a median net worth of $135,000. But think about what that actually means. If you're 40 years old with $135,000 in net worth, and most of that is tied up in your house, how much liquid wealth do you actually have? People between 45 and 54 have a median net worth of $247,000. Those between 55 and 64 have $364,000. And people 65 to 74 hit $410,000. But here's the inequality that should shock everyone. The top 10% of households own 76% of all wealth in the US, while the bottom 50% of households own just 1% of all wealth. 1%. Half of all American households own just 1% of the country's wealth. That's not capitalism, that's feudalism.
Chapter 5. The Retirement Nightmare. Now let's talk about retirement savings, broken down by age. And these numbers will terrify you. First, let's establish what people are depending on. The average Social Security check is $2,007 per month. That's about $24,000 a year. And 44% of female beneficiaries age 65 and older get 50% or more of their income from Social Security alone. The maximum Social Security benefit is $5,108 per month if you wait until age 70. But almost nobody gets that. You'd need to earn the maximum taxable amount, $176,100, for 35 years straight. Now let's look at actual retirement savings by age. People in their 20s. Average 401k balance is $13,500. Average IRA balance is $6,672. The median retirement savings is $18,880. Half of 20-somethings have less than $19,000 saved for retirement. If you follow the 4% withdrawal rule, that gives you $756 per year in retirement income.
That's $63 per month. People in their 30s. Average 401k balance is $67,300. Average IRA balance is $25,109. The median is $45,000. At the 4% rule, that's $1,800 per year, or $150 per month in retirement income. People in their 40s. Average 401k balance is $192,300. Average IRA balance is $103,952. The median is $141,520. That's about $470 per month in retirement income. People in their 50s. Average 401k balance is $249,300. Average IRA balance is $257,002. Even people in their peak earning years don't have nearly enough saved. Here's what makes this absolutely insane. 54% of American households have no dedicated retirement savings at all. Over half of families are planning to retire on Social Security alone. And it gets worse. 68% of Americans haven't been able to contribute to savings due to inflation, while 51% have stopped or reduced retirement contributions. More than half of Americans have reduced retirement savings during the most important years of their working lives. Chapter 6: Social Security, the Harsh Reality. Let's dive deeper into Social Security because most people have no idea how little they'll actually get. To get that maximum benefit of $5,108 per month, you need to work at least 35 years, earn the maximum taxable amount every single year, and wait until age 70 to claim. Most people don't even come close. And timing matters more than people realize. If you claim at 62, the earliest possible age, you get a permanent penalty of up to 30%. Your benefit gets reduced to $2,831 per month, even if you qualified for the maximum. That's a $2,277 difference per month just for claiming early. About 12% of men and 15% of women ages 65 and older rely on Social Security for 90% or more of their income. They're essentially living in poverty. Because Social Security only replaces about 40% of your pre-retirement income on average. And here's the kicker. If your income is above $34,000 as a single filer, up to 85% of your Social Security benefits can be taxed. So even the modest benefits most people receive get reduced further by taxes. Chapter 7: The Banking Fee Trap. Here's a statistic that shows how the financial system preys on people who can least afford it. 46% of Gen Zers and 42% of millennials pay monthly bank fees, compared with only 22% of Gen Xers and 14% of baby boomers. Young people who have the least money are paying the most in bank fees. They're getting charged for being poor, while older, wealthier generations avoid these fees entirely. The emergency fund statistics reveal something even more disturbing. 37% of U.S. adults needed to use their emergency savings in the last 12 months, and 80% of those people used the money for essentials like monthly bills and day-to-day expenses. People are calling their accounts emergency funds, but they're actually using them for regular monthly bills. That's not an emergency fund. That's proof that your income doesn't cover your expenses. Chapter 8: The Most Shocking Truth. Here's the statistic that proves most people are doing everything backwards when it comes to money. 43% of Americans say money negatively impacts their mental health. Nearly half of Americans are stressed about money. But here's what's crazy. Most of these people have the power to fix their financial problems. They just refuse to make the necessary changes. The average American spends over $600 per month on food. They have car payments averaging over $700 per month. They pay bank fees, credit card interest, and subscription services they don't use. But when you suggest they cook more meals at home, buy a used car, or cancel subscriptions, they act like you're asking them to live in poverty. This isn't a crisis of income for most people. The personal savings rate is 4.4%, which means people are choosing to spend 95.6% of their income. This isn't a crisis of poverty. This is a crisis of priorities. The most shocking money statistic isn't any single number I've shared today. It's the gap between what people know they should do and what they actually do. Everyone knows they should have an emergency fund. Most people don't. Everyone knows they should avoid credit card debt. Half of all cardholders carry a balance. Everyone knows they should save for retirement. Half have reduced or stopped contributions. The tragedy isn't that people don't know better, it's that they do know better and choose to do the opposite anyway. They prioritize immediate gratification over long-term financial security, then wonder why they're stressed about money. But here's the good news. If you're willing to do what most people won't do, you can achieve what most people can't achieve. Save 15% instead of 4%. Avoid debt instead of accumulating it. Live below your means instead of beyond them. These statistics show the bar is set incredibly low. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to be better than average. And average, as we've seen today, is pretty terrible. If these statistics opened your eyes about the reality of money in America, subscribe because I break down the psychology and mathematics behind building real wealth every single week.